This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Ayin Gimel in today's year. And all the learning for the month of Elul has been generously sponsored as an incredible schos. Aliyas Teshama of Rizal Basra Meir B'siyat Shemaya. As we'll be concluding the fourth parak today of Baba Basra, learning should bring Rizal Basra Meir to a higher and higher place in Gan Eden Shel Milo. We're holding on, Ayin Beis and Mid Beis. We're 8 lines from the bottom. The first word in line is Stei Achuza. And we pick it up. Amar Rav Huna. Teaches Rav Huna, Charuv HaMurka V'Sadan HaShikma Teiras Elon Alav. These are two items that we saw in the end of the Mishnah. The Charuv, the grafted carob tree, and the smoothed out, the cut sycamore tree. Says Rav Huna, has the status of a Elon, has the Teiras Elon Alav, which we'll see exactly what that means in the moment, and the Teiras Karka Alav, and in other aspects it has a din of Karka. Explains the Gemara. Teiras Elon Alav, that what Dechadi Kadesh Oizavin Shnei Elanois, that if someone was makdish to the Beis Hamikdash, or if someone cuts down 2 trees, v'hai, and this Charav HaMorkov, this Sadonai Shikma, is the third tree. What's the halacha? Yesh lo karka, that the buyer, or the Beis Hamikdash, the recipient, gets the karka with it. And on the other hand, Teiras karka love, this tree has a din of karka that what? Elohim is davin agav iro, that it's not sold together with the land. Din number 1 of Rav Huna. V'amar Rav Huna, in a similar vein, Omer sheish b'sasayim. If we have Omer, we have a sheaf of grain that is 2 saw big. Teiras Omer alav, Teiras Gadish alav. On one hand, it has a din of a sheaf, and on one hand, it has a din of a stack. That Teiras Omer alav, 4 lines about him, what? There's a din of shecha. Anytime you forget 2 sheaves, they have a din of shecha. It goes to matnas aniyim. It goes to aniyim. Shnayim v'ho einon shecha. On the other hand, if you get 2 sheaves and this is the third, it doesn't have a din of shecha. Teres kaddish alav. One aspect that tonight we learned in the Mishnah. Omer sheish b'sasayim. We have Omer, which is 2 saw big. Shecha ein shecha. And the owner forgot it. Ein shecha does not have a din of shecha. He's allowed to get it back. Why? Because it's a din of a gadish. It does not have a din of a Omer. And therefore, the owner is allowed to take it. And it's not considered in that case matnas aniyim. We conclude the parak with Amar Rav Chanan Reish Lakish. These 2 items that we've been talking about, these items are a machlekes between Rav Nachman bar Yosi and the Rabbanan. What's the machlekes? Says the Gemara as we turn over to Ayin Gimel Amud Aleph. Wait, but wait, machlekes of Shimon Rabbanan. Why don't we say that it's a Shimon Rabbanan, which in our Mishnah is the way that we thought the machlekes was? Says the Gemara, you're right, it is. The Nekuda that we're bringing out, so Rav Nachman bar Rav Yosi holds like Rav Shimon. And if we look at the Rashbam for a quick moment, 2 lines on the top, he speaks out, and this is a bigger chiddush. Why? Because as we've learned, we already knew that machlekes, as the Gemara was medayik already. And rather now, we're bringing out a separate nekuda. We're bringing out the detail that Rav Shimon, Rav Nachman bar Rav Yosi holds like Rav Shimon. Hadron aloch hamoicheres habayis. And with that, we continue directly into the 5th parak, which is going to continue on the same theme as the 4th parak, which the first words already tell, Hamoicheres Asfina, when you sell a boat, what is included with that sale? We've spoken about selling a field, we've spoken about selling a land. Says the Mishnah, when you sell a boat, What is included in the sail? Machar esa tayron, vesa neis, vesa ugin, all the different parts of the boat, the mast, the sail, the anchor, veskola manhigin oisai, and all the items that drive the boat. Avaloi machar, lois avodim, lois amartzufim, but the slaves of the boat are not sold. The sacks that hold the cargo are not sold. Veloyes antiki, the cargo itself is not sold. But of course, bisman sha'amr lehim kol ma shebeteicha, then arikula mechurin, then indeed they are all sold. We begin the Gemara, which the Gemara comes along, and the Gemara says that if you sold a boat, your machar es aturan. The question is, we translated, of course, what atura means, but the Gemara wonders right away, Toiras turan, what is it? Iskaira is the mast of the boat, excuse me. Similarly, Nes is the Adra, the sail. As the Pasuk teaches us, bring different rayas from different psukim and Yecheskel, etc. Ugin. What is the Ugin? Tani Rav Chia, Elu Uganin Shalah. These are the anchors which hold the ship from floating away. One of the manhigin for the word lashon of a manik, someone who directs. These are the ship's oars. Continues the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanan continues the Gemara discussing other items that are sold together. Says the Brisa, Machar esa iskila, the gangplank, Vesabar Amayim, the water reservoir Shebetecha that's in the boat. Rab Nelson Aimer, Ramachar Zasvina, Machar Zabitzitz. If you sell a boat, you sell the beitzitz. So what exactly is a beitzitz? It's a small rowboat type of item. Sumchas Aimer, Ramachar Zasvina, Machar Zadugis. Says Sumchas, you sell the dugis. Now what is a dugis? Says the Gemara, Amar Rava beitzitz hainu dugis. So why did Rava and Sumchas give different terms? As people say, boitziasa de Mishan. As people call it, the small boat of Mishan. Sumchas dvaris Yisrael karle dugis. So says the Gemara, really, indeed, they are the same thing, just different ways of referring to this small boat that is part of the larger boat. Says the Gemara, we get involved in a fascinating story. Amar Rabba. Now this story is going to be something which will come back to towards the end of the Masechta. Amar Rabba. The seafarers, the sailors told me the following. Hi Gala de mitba l'svina. They're on the wave which sinks, which could sink a ship. Mischazi kisusitza dinura chavirta bereisha. The wave looks like the white fire at its tips. Umachinale balvasa dechakik alei. Machinale balvasa. You hit it with a club, the chakikle, which is written upon it. What? One name Hashem. Kam Shesavaka is another name Hashem. Amen, Amen, Selah. Another story. Vinayich, and then the waves subsided. Amar Rabbi Shteilin Chutiyama, they told me the following. Being Gala between the waves, Tlas Meya Parsi, the 300 Parsais, Veruma de Gala Tlas Meya Parsi. And the height of the wave is 300 Parsi. One time I was in Gala. One time I was going in the road and the wave lifted us up so high that we could see this place where the small star rests in Shemayim, the Kuchva Zuta. And it looked, and it looked like an area that you could put 40 mustard seeds, Vidalina and Tfei, and if we would have went a little bit higher on the wave, says the Gemara, we would have been burned by the star's heat. We heard one wave saying to another, Shavkas midi ba'amad lo shatisvi, Have you left anything in the world that you didn't flood? Deniti Anav and Abde that could come and destroy it, said the wave. Amarle, the other wave responded, go out and see Gavorta Demarech. The power of Hashem, Aleichuta, Chalav Lei Avri. Since we don't have any permission, we can't even go and we can't do anything. Shenemar, Rabbi Lasiri, Nom Hashem, says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will you not fear me? Mipanai Loisachilu, Asher Samti, Chol Gavul Hayam, who made the boundaries of the sea, Chaik, La'ilam, V'lo Yavrenu, that there are boundaries that can't be crossed by anyone. And another story, says the Gemara, Amar, Rabba, Ledidi Chazili, to me was shown Hormin Bar Lilis. Hormin Bar Lilis. One second, excuse me. Hormin Bar Lilis. Now, Lilis is the name of a shade. So says Rabba, Hormin is another name of the shade. Ki karayit akufa de shura de mechuza. Was running along the walls of mechuza. V'ra'et parsha beirachiv chayvasa mitatai. And there was someone riding an animal below, below Yachalei, couldn't keep up with him. Zimachadem Sargayin lei Tarti Kodenaisa, 2 mules were saddled, Vikaimi, and they were standing. Asri Gishra, we turn over to Angimel and Beis, Atre Gishra de Roignag, on the 2 rivers of Roignag, Vishavir, Mehai Lahai, Mehai Lahai. And Herman jumped back and forth from one of the animals to the next. V'nokit atrei mizagi techamra biyade, and there were 2 glasses of wine in his hand. Umarik mehai lai, and he poured from this one to that one. V'lonotani tusva la'ara, and there wasn't one drop that fell to the ground. V'isayim yalu shamayim, and on that day it was so stormy that anyone went up to shamayim zu yard l'toimais. Havi'ad Shamu by Malchusa v'Katlua, till they heard about this Horman and they killed him. And Amar Rabba continues the Gemara, 4th story with Rabba Toshin. Amar Rabba Lidei says Rabba, to me it was shown Lidei Chazli Urzila. Says Rabba, to me I saw Urzila Bar Yame, a young mule, the age of 1 day. The Have Kahar Tavor. It was the size of Har Tavor. The Har Tavor, how big was that? Arba Parsi. Umashchad Savari Tlasa Parsi. And the length of the neck of the animal was 3 parsis. Ubeimar Vasam Dereshe Parso Palga. And the resting place was a parsa and a half. Rama Kofta, he used the bathroom, and the animal was so large that from using the bathroom, the dung went and it clogged up and it dammed the entire Yarden River. Continues the Gemara with another story of Amar Rabba Barachana. Says Rabba Barachana, I saw a certain frog, the Havia Ki Akra de Hargunya. It was a frog and it was as large as the city of Akra of Hargunya. Says the Gemara, and how big was that? Akra de Hargunya, Kama Have. How large was that? Shitim Bapi, 60 houses. Asa Taninya Balia. Says the Gemara, sea monster came, swallowed up the frog. Asa Pushkinasa, Bala Tanina, a raven came and swallowed up the sea monster. Vesalik Yosef Ilane. And it went and sat on the trees. Tochazi, says the Gemara, Kamanovish Chayole Dilane. How strong the tree was. Wasn't there Loyamane? I would never have believed it. Continues the Gemara with another story. Says Rav Chana, one time I was going on a boat. Says Rav Chana, and I saw a certain fish, Yosef Le Achleam. Tina Ba'osye, and there were little things that were creeping and settling on the fish. Water came out of the fish, and it was spit onto the shore. And the water came out, destroyed 60 cities. And 60 cities ate from the flesh. 60 cities salted the flesh to preserve it. From one eye of this sea creature, 300 barrels of oil came out of the eye. And we went back to where this tremendous fish was 12 months later. What do we find? We found that they were cutting off beams from the bones of this animal to make houses. And then they went to rebuild those cities. Continues the Gemara with the seventh story. Rabbi Rechana is in the Chad, and of course, we didn't give the classical preface that we always give. Each of these stories to be understood on many levels, but we'll begin at least, as always, with just a Pashib shot. Amar Rabbi Rechana, we're about 10 lines into the wide lines. The first line is Hanach B'chuza. Chada is in the Chad because Lina B'Safinta. One time, says Rabbi Rechana, I was going in a boat, Chazinan, Hahu Kavara, and I saw a certain fish, Yasli Le Chalsa Gabe, that sand was on the fish's back, but Kodach Agmoluye, and there was a little meadow, a little field that grew on the back of the animal. Savrina, we thought Yabeshti, we thought this was dry land, Zaklinan, and we went up onto this animal. And what did we do there? We started cooking on this area that we thought was dry land. And it got so hot, so what happened? The animal turned over. And it says the Gemara, if not for the fact that we had the boat there, that when we flipped over, we had where to go, we would have been drowned from the mere fact of being thrown off this massive fish. Sagi Sfinta Bain Shita l'shita l'kavara. Says the Gemara, and the ship traveled between one fin and another fin of the fish. 3 days and 3 nights. The fish was swimming against the wind. We were swimming with the wind. So what does it show us? Maybe you're going to tell me the ship didn't travel so much. Says Rav Dimi, it was like the amount of time to heat up a pot of water. That amount of time, this boat travels 60 parsais. And when they shot an arrow, the ship was faster than the actual arrow. He says Rav Ashi, there was a small fish species known as Gildana, Disley Trey, Shitzi, which has 2 fins, just telling us what this creature was. We'll conclude with one last story. The 9th story, excuse me, Rabbi Chana said the Chade was in a Sifenta v'chazin avi sifra dekayim ar kursile. Says Rabbi Chana, we were going in a boat and we saw a certain bird that was standing up until its ankles, b'maya, v'reishi v'raki, and his head was in the shamayim, v'amina leika man, maya. And we said to ourselves, there's not that much water. And we wanted to go down into the water to cool off. But nothing. Vaskal came out, V'amar, and said, Lon to us, this is not the place. Don't go down there. Why? The water is so deep that when the carpenter dropped an axe, Lavar Nagra, Hashav, Shni, it's been 7 years, and V'lokamati Ara, and the just keep on falling and falling, hasn't reached the floor. Says it's not because there's so much water. Because the water is so crazy, the water. Rav Ashi, says Rav Ashi, that bird was called the Ziv Sadai, the moving thing of the field. Ziv Sadai Amadi, and this moving thing of the field should be with me. We'll pick it up from here.